Let me see if this will. Okay, looks like it's recording. Hopefully that's got it. All right, July 14th, AFTW meeting, and just some housekeeping items for those who are new. We do record these meetings. I want to welcome everybody who is their first time to this meeting. This is a collective forum for just flight training in Arizona, just discuss safety issues and try and work together as a community to enable flight safety. And if you want wings credit, we do offer wings credit. So although, Brian, I just remembered I haven't submitted the spans, I don't think. So I'll have to do that retrospectively on this. But if you want credit for this meeting, please ask if you could please put your email address in the chat. I tried pulling the meeting attendance last time, and it was a pain in the butt and took multiple tries to find it. And most of the people that it shows on attendance, it doesn't bring up your email address. So if you can please put your email in the chat if you want credit for wings, and then I'll make sure to get you credit. For Facebook is kind of like our hub for immediate notification of issues. So if you're looking for where do we post information, go check out our Facebook page at AZFTW. And we also have a website where we post a lot of our content as well. That's got all of our practice area maps. Our the Stanfield stack procedures are currently posted up there. Any other news? That's a great site to check out. So it's aftw.org. And there's also safety topics of the month from the GAGFC up there as well. And the last item on our housekeeping items is that YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel. So if you check out aftw.org or aftw.org on YouTube, you'll find our channel with some interesting safety videos on there. With that, we'll move on to upcoming local events. I know that monsoon season has arrived, and please make sure your aircraft is tied down. You've got those gust fronts that could be up to 75 miles an hour. Airplanes like to fly at that speed typically for small aircraft, so make sure you're tying down your aircraft securely after flight. Have a plan B if you're going flying. Make sure you're checking what the forecasted weather looks like and have a plan B. I don't recommend flying into haboobs or dust fronts or trying to skirt through the weather. These storms are very, very dangerous for light aircraft. Also, Oshkosh AirVenture is next week. So those of you who are headed to Oshkosh, I wish you smooth air and tailwinds. And so always a good event. But anybody else have other local events that they want the population out here to know? All right, not hearing anything. I'll go ahead and move on to the next item. AFTW's website updates. So there hasn't been any updates that I know of to any of our KML. I think the only website update we did between last meeting and this meeting is we posted the last meeting minutes. And we also have the Stanfield stack procedure suggestions for alternatives has been posted up there for review. So we're going to go through that a little bit today as we sum up that discussion. So, but if you have a point of contact that you would like AFTW to know about, because we do like to broadcast email chatter to the population when we get news of like a important NOTAM we want people to know about or something like that, we do use the point of contact list. So check out this link here. These minutes will be posted online so you can reference them later. It's on AFTW's website. But if you're a point of contact for a flight school, please give us your contact information of how we can get in touch with your school so that we keep you in the loop as to what's going on safety-wise. And if you can also post our flyer for AFTW at your facility, if you're an airport operator or a FBO, we have a briefing, like a little poster that you can put up. It's got some QR codes, take people to our website and things like that. So there's that link there for you as well. Moving on to airports. We typically do airports, airspace, and then other projects or issues is our general format. And Luke, I know that we had talked about last time about Luke potentially reopening their ILS. Has anybody heard any updates on that? I've not heard anything either. Anything, Carrie?
We have not heard anything, and we did not have Major Smith or Mr. DeJesus attend the ASAG meeting. So, uh, what I did hear from John Keith was that the people he was talking out to at Luke Rapcon didn't know AFTW existed, and I find that a little bit um, disturbing because we've had a good relationship with Luke Approach and Luke's safety office and Mr. Podesta in the airspace office there. So I will go back and make sure they are aware of AFTW.
All right, cool. We'll
And
stay tuned for any updates on that.
the fact that we've also got the Luke Ox procedure on the AFTW website, whether that's going to remain current when the ILS comes back or not, we'll have to check that out.
That's a good point. Make a note of that. All right. Next airport I have here, Falcon Field. For those who are living under a rock, they did pass a vote for, I guess the city passed the vote for starting landing fees at Falcon Field. They had initially expected this to start May 1st. The city then sent out an email saying that they were going to need more time to find a suitable vendor and get equipment installed or something to that effect. So last we heard, this was going to start on after July 30th. So I expect like August 1st. So pay attention to Falcon Field's website, the airport's website for updates on that. I don't know if anybody else has any updates on that, but that's about all I know on the extent of that. And I do want to caution people that there will be probably more traffic going in and out of Falcon to try and get and do their practice landings at other airfields. So just be aware of that. All right. No other thoughts on that one. I know there was a bill in the AZ House we were talking about. I forget the name of it, but I know it was going to be voted on just after our last AFTW meeting. Any updates on that, Carrie? I know you were sticking close to that topic.
Yeah, that was House Bill 2210. And unfortunately, on the very last day of the legislature, it was not released out of the Transportation Committee on the Senate side for a floor vote. So it died in committee for this session. So we'll have to go back to the drawing board next session and determine how we want to put that together, whether it should come from the Senate side first, whether there's going to be a sponsor. But we'll have to figure out our path forward after the summer here and the next session comes in. So
Okay.
it met a lot of opposition. Unsurprisingly, I was surprised actually from the Arizona Airports Association. I understand it's now also becoming a national opposition from the airports associations nationwide that they think they should have the right to use ADSB for the assessment of fees. So, we're going to be facing some strong headwinds.
Right. Any updates? Any other updates on that? All right, moving on to anybody here from Glendale. Any updates from Glendale? Any updates from Chandler? Over to Deer Valley. I know that there's a tethered balloon that showed up on the sectional chart, and I know Brian and Mertens pushed out a notice of this. I have that notice here. So just be aware of a tethered balloon. I believe it's on a cable between the Metro Center and somewhere up on this direction from the Metro Center.
It's ASU West. It's 43rd and Thunderbird. If anybody knows where the ASU West campus is, it's on that property.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Brent, is that going to
got
last very long? I thought it looked like it was going to end in September.
So we know what the waiver says, and we know what we're told, which are different. The waiver is active until I think July of 28. When I spoke yesterday to Sandia, the people who are the waiver holders, he said, oh, we've done all these safety measures. He said they're not going to raise the balloon until August 10th, until August 23rd. So that's just shy of 2 weeks. And I'm like, all right, that's a little better. And then there's a similar window in September they're going to do, according to what he said, but those dates are not yet determined. So the waiver doesn't say this date and that date. The waiver says go at it, 2028. They'll pull it down when it's windy. The flyer there makes mention of 4 o'clock to 2200. So that's the window that they're going to do it with. But hopefully, if they're just talking about 2 weeks in July or 2 weeks in August, 2 weeks in September, that minimizes the exposure, which sounds a little better. We just can hope. He said that was it for 2026. I'm like, all right.
I'm hesitant to put it on our charts then, because if it's only going to be up for a couple weeks each time and then be gone, so should we really put it on the overlay?
Well, I would, if you put it there, just leave it there, because if you're going to come and go with it, this is Brian's idea. If it's there, everybody flies the children of the magenta line kind of thing. They all fly and they see there's a circle. They don't go there. So if it's always there, it almost let it sit there fall and winter and spring, and then then it's not a surprise when it pops up next year.
So you think it'll be popping up on and off?
Oh yeah, they're gonna do this through to 2028. So
Okay.
They
no worries.
said,
I'll put it on the overlay.
Yeah, it's a good idea. What else was I going to say? There was something I was thinking of. I'm sure I'll blurt it out later. I forget. It was a lot. What did he say? Anyway,
Brian, going back to this, that's why, if you look at this and you look at the flyaway and where it's positioned, and if
it's
people
right
want,
on it.
But if you want to avoid it around that circle that you're suggesting, that's going to force people to go into Luke's airspace. And this is why Luke probably should have done a little better analysis of what impact does this have on airplanes going into the Seder. Are they capable of?
And it was not only issued once from Texas, it took 18 months. I found out 2 days ago, 18 months to get this thing to go. That this has been, I said, if you'd have called us 18 months ago, we would have said, forget about it. The reason they chose ASU West had almost everything to do with funding and real estate and all that federal stuff. There was almost no other place that they could put it and not have to either not get permission or spend boatloads of money. So that's why it's there. And I want to get the guidance at least addressed that says contact the FSDO, because Texas has no idea what's between Deer Valley and Glendale. They don't have any idea. I don't think they ever looked.
Okay. It was 43rd and Thunderbird. Is that correct?
Exactly. Southwest corner. And the NOTAMs. So they're supposed to get the NOTAM out 24 hours before, maybe a little less, but 24 hours before. It doesn't have the Phoenix, the PXR radial and distance, but it does have the Latin long. And it's about like 6 or 7 miles southwest of Deer Valley's airport center if you go like straight towards Glendale. So the NOTAMs, if for those who get in the plane without looking at NOTAMs, that's a habit that's going to have to change for those people. And we don't quite know how to reach those people.
Brian, that area, is that outside Amazon's drone service?
I thought I heard, I think so. I haven't checked it, but I thought I heard when we were doing the Luke Air Show, I thought their range takes it just up to basically the lateral limit of where Luke is. And I think if you go around, I think, yeah, Luke is short of Thunderbird. Luke goes up to like northern. So no, I think it's out of their area.
Because I don't know how Amazon's drones would see a tether.
Well, let's do this. I live at 83rd and Thunderbird. I can't get Amazon deliveries, so probably. I'm closer than the balloon is.
All right.
Yeah.
Brian, this is Tom Cowan. Let me just ask you a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Did you say this is from the Sandia Labs?
Yeah, it's Sandy National Laboratories. They are all kind of umbrellaed in some multiple complex way under the Department of Energy. And this is just a science thing that they're doing.
What are the, did they tell you why they're doing this?
No, no.
Well, let me just tell you,
It
I
requires
know
some
Sandia,
soon research.
right? I know Sandia very well. They do nuclear weapons research. And so, uh, yeah, let me ask a little bit around. That's probably why there was nobody that could stop this, because I'm guessing there's something else that's
Yeah,
involved.
and a little bit of insight. When Kevin's the acting assistant office manager, we spoke to the two guys on Friday. They, when we expressed the interest, he said, well, we understand and we see, right? But at the same time, there is, everybody has rights to certain things, like a 101, part 101, which is what the tethered balloon falls under. There can
Yeah,
be a waiver for that. They have that right, right? And at the same time, pilots can use airspace when they have the duty to see and avoid and read NOTAMs and do all that other stuff. And I heard that and I said, I agree. I can't disagree with that. But at the same time, if all the pilots played along with the rules, then we'd have no pilot deviations, we'd have no accidents or very few accidents. So, you can't
yeah,
count on it.
I think what you're dealing with here, and I don't know, but I can ask. I think what you're dealing with is, Carrie, you know where down in Marana where we have problems with the folks down there where they grab the airspace, right? And they just say we're going to take over Marana for the night. Um, I think this is what we're dealing with here. This is probably a national security thing. Um,
This thing here with Sandia?
mhm. That's what those guys do.
Yeah, there
I'm
is a
just
whole
telling you.
website. I'm trying to find it for you, Tom. I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I know I work with those guys, Kerry, so
yeah,
I know what they do.
they
And
they maybe they're using it as the cover of something else, but it's got a dust mitigation and monsoon study
yeah,
uh,
it's
cover.
got to be, yeah, and there's a reason why that is. And so I mean, I can speculate, but I shouldn't speculate on this call. But I can only tell you, I can imagine that nobody could stop it based on what I know. Nobody could stop that.
You could
So,
be right because before that, there were, if you've anybody lately has seen NOTAMs for free balloons up to 100,000,
mhm,
they were out there. And when we first looked at this, going, number one, a free balloon isn't a tethered balloon. It's not 100,000, it's 5,500.
yeah,
And later did we find out ASU on that part, they've been shipping these balloons up, these weather balloons up for weeks now. And they
yeah.
somebody said, I forget who it was that said, I think it was Luke or Phoenix, they said no. And then they were told, no, you'll approve it. So they did.
Yeah, well, it has to do with there's some work that ASU does, and the president of ASU sits on a board that's part of this stuff. There's a whole series of connections there, guys, that I think is way beyond anybody's pay grade that could stop it here in Arizona. So I can ask some questions and I'll be told that I can't know, and that'll tell us the answer. So,
So I don't
Brian,
think anybody's trying to stop anything. So we'll put it on the map. I think we're
Yeah,
getting sidetracked here.
I
I
yeah.
like
think,
this, Stacy.
yeah. I think that's the best thing, guys, because this thing could come up anytime. If they have authorization to do it 12 months out of a year, just that they just say they're going to do it in September and July, I wouldn't take that to the bank.
So
No worries. On the chart.
the last thing I'll say, then we'll move on is don't let this outreach die. And I don't mean figuratively or literally. I mean, keep telling
Agreed.
anyone who uses the airspace, who has a need to get in their helicopters, airplanes, anything, just keep it going until
Right.
24 months is over. And then we've done our job because somebody's going to die if we don't.
Right. That's my point. I think we ought to assume we can't do anything but just accept that it's likely to be there whenever they want to put it up there, if they have approval to do it. But I'll ask guys just to find out.
Okay, cool. Any updates from Goodyear? Any updates from Ryan? I know that we had some construction going on down there. Marana. I know that they're live on liveatc.net. Was the update we had last meeting. Anything from Gateway?
Yeah, there was something that came out of the RSAT for Gateway. And that's a request that we put together a no maneuver zone similar to the one that we have from Scottsdale up to Carefree Sky Ranch for an area just kind of west to southwest of Gateway, because the Allegiant airplanes that are coming in on the visuals are coming in and making a fairly rapid descent on their visual approaches to the fixes, and are getting a number of TAs and RAs from airplanes that are maneuvering in that area.
Yeah.
So I've asked Bob Middlestat to put together a flyer similar to what we did for the Deer Valley Scottsdale no maneuver zone for that area as well. And I asked that he coordinate it with the flight schools there at Falcon and at Gateway.
Okay. Stacy, do you have the updated AFTW? I'm sorry, the Arizona, the Allegiant, too many A's. The Allegiant procedures going in Gateway. I'm sure you have that, right?
I do have them, but not on me because I'm standing in my classroom.
No worries. And then maybe you could just look at those and see if we need to add like little clear zones or no maneuver zone into our chart overlay.
I can look at it.
Okay, cool.
So what area will that affect?
It's going to be east of the airspace, maybe out to the canal out there.
Okay, someone said, I thought I heard west, so okay.
It's in the southeast practice area north of the cement plant. Sorry, I'm a CFI out of Gateway. We got that letter from the tower.
I may have misspoken. I meant east southeast. So
yeah, I knew what you meant, Gary. I had gotten a briefing from Allegiant on that as well.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a new one.
Okay, cool. Any other things? I know that also Gateway had announced landing fees, but as far as I understand, that was suspended until further notice. So I haven't heard any updates on that yet.
Yeah, that's all pending.
Okay. Any updates for Yuma? This was news from last meeting. And El Tiro, we had a representative from El Tiro here last meeting, so they gave us a bunch of updates down there, which was helpful. Wasn't sure if there's anything new. And any other airport updates? Anybody I didn't get to?
If you use Cottonwood P52, I believe it is they've lowered their traffic pattern altitude to 800 feet AGL from 1,000. I believe it is in the AFT, or the chart sub, as it's properly called now.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, on to other business. So airspace.
This is Michael Rutledge with Rutledge Airborne down at Casa Grande. We just
go
need to
ahead.
add Casa Grande to it. Hey,
Yeah.
sir, we've got James Tombrello, our ops director, and a plethora of our other instructor pilots that are here with us. And there's actually obviously no aerial firefighting going on in the vicinity right now. All of our airplanes are spread out amongst the country. However, the last, I think, 90 days, there's new training and itinerant traffic at Casa Grande. Didn't know quite the method of getting the word out. The company is called Q1 Tactical, and they're actually doing just government training out of Casa Grande, pretty high density training as of the last 60 days. And we're using, I can't read you into a lot of it, but we're using O1 bird dogs and the Air Tractor 802s to train both the FAA and also another government agency. We also do have a Part 91 flight school using two newly restored Varga 2150s. So I'm sure there's some folks in here that will recognize that, as they were all built in Chandler back in the day. That's kind of a minor action. But the government training using these very moody tailwheel airplanes has brought up some issues. Casa Grande, generally, as far as I've been here, hasn't really had any tenant training traffic, so it's kind of fallen off everyone's radar with the stack activity. The last 60 days, we've kind of run into some fairly concerning events dealing with the stack traffic. So we're not making a huge deal out about it. Everybody's kind of doing the right thing. The problem is, obviously, we're familiar with all the stack provisions, and it's a very, very well-written policy. We've just got various flight schools who are not exactly adhering to it, and it's resulting in some frequent near misses. When I say near misses, I mean 100 to 300 feet. That's not nearly as concerning as some of the comments. No kidding, when we're like, hey, can you guys do us a favor? Can you please, winds are out of the west, can you please switch to 2-3? And I think our favorite comment was, my flight school allows me 10 knot tailwind, I'm landing 0.5. So we've got 16,000 pound airplanes coming beak to beak with flight school traffic. We had one last week, our closest near miss, an aircraft almost took out 2 bird dogs on final for 2-3 because she was using the RNAV 2-3 and descended on top of final traffic for 2-3. That was one. We addressed it with the school. Multiple landing with 10 knot tailwinds when we're using 2-3 and announcing it. Also taking practice approaches when 2-3 is in use and taking them over the airport. So we've had multiple takeoffs with missed approach traffic over the runway at less than 200 feet over us at decision height, departing to the east. The other part is calling, if we're using 2-3, they're calling the option when they're doing missed approaches. So the option, we have to assume they're landing. So that also kind of interrupts the 2-3 traffic. We actually tried to file a note and say, hey, aircraft, if it's 1 mile an hour out of the west with these airplanes, if you've ever flown an 01 bird dog, they are moody. We have to use whichever runway is prevailing. And I even tried to file a NOTAM, and they kind of laughed. They're like, we can't file that because what you're telling us is you're going to use procedures that you're supposed to be using. I was like, well, it was going to be something up to the effect of aircraft must use, the on-wind runway. So I'm open to suggestions. I need all of your help because what we're not going to do is waste everyone's time and the FAA's time and report near misses when I think we can solve this. But there's been some pretty close ones. And not that one student is different than another, but if we have a midair carrying government agents on these airplanes, it's going to bring this entire system down. So we need some recommendations on how to get the word out, or because I think the flight schools and other users, everyone has the policy of doing it. Somehow it's not trickling down necessarily to all the users. And we are all for flight training. It's not at all. We're not going to complain about the stack. It's a necessary procedure for everybody to progress. We just need to figure out how to navigate this so everybody can get co-usage of the airspace.
Sure. And you read the AFTW procedures where it states in there, recommend up to a 10 knot tailwind to help people stay following like a single aligned path to runway 5, which would allow the ILS to be used. And I understand you're saying, wait, we're tailwheel, we can't accept up to a 10 knot tailwind. And so that's something I think, I appreciate you communicating, because this is something that I think affects a lot of folks that are trying to use the more prudent runway, which is aligned into the wind, which sometimes could be runway 23. And now you're finding yourselves going head to head with approach traffic on departure. And how do we, minimize that conflict? So I don't know if anybody on the call here has any specifics, guidance, suggestions, other than just communication. If you guys are coming in and need to use 2-3, let people know, hey, I need to use 2-3, can't accept a tailwind for 5, and see if people can work with you on the approach to, do an early mist or something like that.
Well, we tried. The word's not getting out to students. So we had 8 near misses less than 300 feet. So I would say this is rather urgent. So we've tried communicating and we get told by the CFIs, my flight school allows me to do this. That's happened 5 times reported.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to solve that, but it's not an if, we're going to have a midair if this continues.
Yeah. Well, hey, the first step is talking about it. So we just need to figure out what, where the issues are and then where we can work to fix them. So
I
appreciate it
understand
bringing that to the
Casa Grande's
table.
always been used that way because it hasn't had any attendance traffic. So I understand there's going to be a little bit of, learning curve. Guys
Yeah.
like, hey, there's traffic going on there. Now, it is limited. The good news is we were going to put it on the NOTAM, but we fly in the summertime until October. We're wheels up at 05:30 and we're usually done before 10, Monday through Friday. So it's not a very expansive window. In the winter hours, it may change a little bit. We do one training period in the morning and one in the afternoon. But again, those are at most about 1.7 or 2.0. And it's not a lot of aircraft. We only have 4 aircraft doing the training. So it's fairly limited in scope. But one of the things we're challenged with is our customers said if we have another midair, we're not coming back to Arizona. So it affects us, greatly.
Sure.
Sorry, not a midair, but if we have a close call like that, because they're going back and reporting it to their safety agency. So it's a challenge for us as well.
If I can, I want to make sure that you said RNAV 23. Who was doing it? The flight school or you?
The flight school.
Okay.
We were
Yeah.
making right traffic, landing into the wind in 2-3, and they descended onto us doing the RNAV 2-3.
Yeah. So the only way that we can make corrections is if we hear from you. So I encourage you. I'm Stacy Elliott from UND. I encourage you to write me or call me, and especially if it's my flight school.
Well, it wasn't. So just so you know, it wasn't you.
Okay.
But so your plate's clean. We don't always have the wherewithal to be able to write down tail numbers, and because quite honestly, our head is not in an iPad looking at ADSB. Because we're doing most of all of our work is terminal work at either Coolidge or Casa Grande. Very rarely do we extend out there, just so everyone knows. I mean, our charter is to teach them how to take off and land these very odd airplanes. So we're not anywhere except Coolidge and Casa Grande. That's the good part. Occasionally,
you picked the 2 worst airports to do this at. Absolutely, the 2 worst.
Or you pick the worst airport to do the stack because this is where we live. So
yeah, well, it's been there for 40 years. So
yeah, that's the only one that's got the ILF. So
right. But we're still at the same point. It doesn't help anybody if there's a midair.
No, it doesn't. Obviously,
and we're perilously close. Recorded 5 times of less than 150 feet. So that would not be acceptable at any other airport. Everybody else it would be a safety investigation if that continued at any other airport.
Right. Yeah. So it's a near miss. Were they reported?
Yeah. Are you guys filling out like ASRS reports for these?
No, this is our first step is telling you guys about it. So perhaps we don't have to go that route.
Well, there's nothing wrong with an ASARS. And it gets it into the system so people can be aware of it.
Yeah, it's good. We appreciate you bringing this to our attention. And then, like I said, our suggestion on top of that, beyond this community, is getting it into the national airspace system safety issues so that perhaps at a national level can be looked at as well.
And I think, like the stack procedures are solid. We've read through them as well. So the procedure is there and it's very well stated. It provides for, hey, if guys are using opposite runways. So I don't think there's any issue at all with the information that's provided, in the published stack procedures. It's perhaps just a user level awareness, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we can work to spread that word. Like I said, we'll get the word out and see what we can do to improve that situation.
Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And Michael, Cary Grant here. First, I'd like to make sure you also come to the ASAG meeting. There will not be an ASAG meeting in July, but please come to the August meeting and we'll discuss this. And your situation is very similar to what we've had with our contract parachute jump operators. So, Tom, you want to address this?
Why don't you just send me a quick contact information for you? I'm listed here as Thomas Cowan, and let me talk to you a little bit about the situation, and we'll see what we can do to mitigate this.
Okay, I will do that, Tom. I'm assuming there's a number associated with that.
Yeah, why don't you just I'll send you my contact information. I'll send it to
Thank
you
you,
on the
sir.
chat.
Thanks, sir.
Airports, people want to bring up? By the way, does anybody know Coolidge? They have a new FBO building I found out the other day, but I wasn't sure how is it open all the time or is it open only certain hours of the day? We had a crew that got stuck down there with an engine issue or technical issue with the aircraft, and luckily the airport manager was there to let them in the building. But just curious if that was open and has posted hours or anything like that. But I will work to talk with the airport manager directly. Okay, on to airspace stuff. So the big topic of today, wanted to touch back on our Stanfield stack proposed options. For those who weren't on the last meeting, we've had conversations since about March with Albuquerque Center trying to figure out how we can help to mitigate the issues that they were seeing with IFR aircraft trying to mix with VFR aircraft, and we were seeing the constant risk of mid-air collisions. Albuquerque has indicated that there's about every 90 minutes to 120 minutes or so, there's an aircraft IFR trying to get into the Stanfield stack. So we put together, after conversating with them and trying to figure out what are some of the options, we put together a briefing package on some of the different options that the community had proposed. Again, these are just proposals, nothing in stone yet. And that proposal looks like this. It is up on the website, aftw.org. I can post maybe a link to it here in a second in the chat. But this basically has a couple options. This is the overview of them here. Either we just keep doing what is done now, or maybe we stop using the 5,000 and 7,000 altitudes and leave those restricted to Albuquerque. So that way it allows an insert point for IFR aircraft to jump into the stack without flying into other aircraft at those altitudes. We could line up on an inbound course, which look like this, but we have the risk of CFIT into mountains. We had option D, which was like a northern loop, but thoughts were that might impact the practice area and be too much airspace being taken up by that procedure rather than stacking up. And then we had a south hold option where there's a separate hold fix that we place south of the current stack. It doesn't have to be 10 DME, it could be closer to the VOR, but maybe somewhere between 5 to 10 miles. There'd be a holding stack that would be the VFR stack. And then when you get down to 4,500 feet, you'd fly inbound, as you can see here on the profile view, to Stanfield, and then drop down on a procedure turn, shoot the approach. That way it doesn't stack up into the stacks over Stanfield and cause headaches for IFR rivals, and IFR rivals could still mingle down into the kind of mesh with the approach traffic in a little bit more standardized way. But option F was a circular route that was to the south, and that circular route looks like this. Some options, and we did get feedback on this one, which I'll share in just a moment, that may conflict with some of the skydiving operations happening down in Sawtooth. So I believe the jump aircraft, as they take off from Sawtooth, fly out this direction and kind of do orbits like this before they do their jump runs. So just something to be advised that we did get feedback on that. So I have some feedback I just want to share with the group. So I did get feedback from Frank Frasetto, who was out of Skydive AZ, operates out of Sawtooth. And so this was his feedback. He says the proposed procedures that would not be ideal would be E and F because they're kind of more towards their jump zone. And so that was just something that he wanted to highlight. It's going to be in the meeting minutes if you want to read through the full details here. But that basically was the summation of his thoughts. Jim wrote a very good summation too of his opinion on the procedures. And I think he put his feedback on the AFTW website or on the Facebook page, but this is his feedback there. He just believes that we probably just need to keep working together on solutions and use the current procedures that we have, do a better job of making sure that the current flight schools out there are utilizing them effectively. And the issues that he sees is, any changes that we make to the current procedures are going to require a lot more coordination and potentially if we change them, we're going to cause more confusion. And so we just need to get more letters to airmen, get people involved in understanding what the current procedures are and make sure they're adhering to them. And what else here? Just talking about making sure that our flight schools do not file IFR to Casa Grande, file IFR to somewhere else rather than the most craziest place in Arizona to file IFR to, unless it actually is IFR. And then he says his thoughts and suggestions, keep the current procedures, any specific guidance for the stack, make sure that we kind of just repeat the issue of making sure that traffic, when they come across IFR inbounds, give them space and allow them to join into the stack so they don't have trouble violating their approach clearances. And what else did he say here? Just let you guys kind of read some of this here. But yeah, once IFR aircraft compose the threat that people re-enter the hold. That's basically see and avoid what we're currently doing. We should publish some NOTAMs, for IFR training flights to not use that. Make sure that transient pilots avoid the area. Encourage IFR pilots to inbound to Casa Grande and cancel IFR when able. And point pilots to AFTW recommended procedures. No perfect solution. So that's his feedback. I had a quick conversation with Carol this afternoon. Carol, I think, is on the call. Just the thoughts from their school and her and CFIs that she talked with there. Looks like also recommending we stay with the current procedures and just making sure that we have the schools currently follow the guidance, as we see a lot of schools that don't seem to be familiar. We also had feedback from Albuquerque Center a little bit further, because I know Stacy and myself were asking Albuquerque if we could get feedback as to how often exactly do they have statistics on how many conflicts and emitters that they have happen in their airspace. He basically gave feedback that they don't have that particular element being tracked. It's not something they can just pull from their system or tabulate easily, but they have 7,000 IFR aircraft flight plans that have Casa Grande designated as a departure in the last 365 days. But whether or not those flight plans were activated, terminated, removed, whatever, we don't know. So there's not really a good data source on that question. He does state, though, that he still thinks that this is an issue with the airspace and that he does believe that there's a risk for mid-air collision. He thinks there's still a routine of aircraft, intermixing there that can lead to a mid-air collision. So, but again, their feedback will be in the meeting minutes. If you want to read through them more in detail, happy to do so with that. What I've done is I have put, let me see here, I've got, if you want the proposal on the website, copy this and put this in the chat. So here's the procedures link on the website if you want more detail on any of these. And then I'm also going to post, I have put together a, where did I put it? Up here. I have survey link that I've made. So actually at the top of the survey link there, when you go and open up that link, at the top, there's a link to the other document that's I just linked you to. But this is a survey that basically is asking for feedback on these and which you think is what you'd like to see. So this is what it looks like. It's just a survey. Just keep in mind the first two options don't have any pictures with them. So the pictures are above the selection, and it just shows each of the different routes and just asking what you prefer. And then any other comments, thoughts, or feedback you can share here. So if you'd like to share your feedback and propose which solution you think would be best, I did allow that you can select two options. So if you want to say, hey, I like what we're doing now, but I think maybe long term I'd like, if I had to choose a different option, one of these, you can do so. So if you want to choose your best two options, go right ahead. But at most you can choose is two. The only thing with this survey I wasn't able to do is I can't restrict multiple submissions. So somebody could come on here and just click the same submission 100 times and submit it in. So if I could please ask everybody that gets this, please just submit one option or one submittal, that'd be great. And don't spam submissions. It might show me the, I don't know, web MAC address or something, if who's sending it or something like that. I don't know. Usually just gives me a graph as to who selected which options. So, but I can't see submissions. It's all anonymous. But this is a survey that will send us feedback from AFTW side, and then we can use this to work with the AFTW community and see what we can do to better the options that we have at Stanfield. So, Brian, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I share real quick? I just got a little graphic here over the stack as far as traffic density. So if I could just pop in there, I got to figure out how to do it.
Just click share at the bottom of the screen, and then just click
there it is.
Screen you want to share.
Oh, you can start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Here, I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Try it now.
Thanks. Yeah, this isn't part of the solution, but it's share. So let me know if you can see what I got here. You see a bunch of red. So this is these little honeycombs are about a half a mile each. And if I put my mouse over a given spot, I only picked 1 week. Or was it 1 week or 1 month? Let me go back. I forget what I picked. I picked 1 month, June 1st to June 30th, and I picked up to 8,000 feet. So if I go down, yeah. So if I click on one spot, like over the VOR, that's per day. Or here, 224.9 flights per day, and over here, it gives you the altitude spread of those planes, and MSL, and then down here is the VFR, as far as it knows anyway, ADS-B and everything versus IFR. So there's a disproportionately high number of VFR aircraft. And you figure these are the ones both coming, re-entering the hold and going. So maybe that's double too many, because if you go down here on final, it's like 127. And so they're all probably super low. Yeah, they're down there on short final. And those are probably 99%. Yeah, they're they're like 99% VFR. So it's just a fun little graphic. So if you zoom it out, this is what I was using with the balloon thing. I tripped across this. This would be, what's this little airport? I forget what that is. Akchen. So there's Akchen. They're kind of busy there. So in terms of the solutions, where the traffic currently is, this is everything up to 8,000. This is Victor 105 right here. And then it's kind of dark over here. This is probably all practice area stuff. So, but I have this data. Look at this. Where's this going? What's that? Must be people. Are they doing the approach for 2-3? No, that's not. That wouldn't be that either, would it?
That'd be the VOR 5.
Yeah, it's the VOR 5 approach into Casa Grande.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, and it only goes out as far as like the Mode C Vale, kind of like in that ballpark, a little further. But so anyway, I just thought I'd share that. If anyone wants to see a particular honeycomb, I can click on it. We can look at some data, but that tells you where people historically have been. It's just an interesting little program that we have. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I also ran into another link online where somebody was doing an airspace study, and they used ADS-B data to basically generate something similar to this, but it just shows spider tracks, and it does red and yellow versus traffic density, and very similar looking chart.
That's what I wanted.
But it was
wanted the spider tracks.
But it was a historical study. They did it between like 2016 and 2019 data. or I think it was only 1 year actually worth of data. So
Yeah. So if anyone's looking for data, we can't use it for investigation. We can't use it for enforcement. That's what it says. We can only use it for safety and research and stuff. So if anyone had any reason to know in a certain spot, the more time I ask, the longer it takes for it to pull up, 8, 10 minutes, but it depends. So I just thought I'd share it. I thought it was interesting.
that's that's very helpful data. But it does interestingly, it shows that the area south of the stack is probably the most open as far as current traffic utilization. But cool, thank you for sharing that.
Brent?
Oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lee.
Okay. For the option solution E with the South Hold, hearing that it conflicts with the drop zone at Sawtooth, what radial could that safely be on and still work? Because I lean toward B with a strong letter to airmen for now and keeping 5,000 and 7,000 clear, and then applying for this to be an approved instrument approach procedure in the future. But how far off do we need to get it to be not a CFIT and not a Sawtooth problem?
I'm glad you asked that. Hang on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, stupid thing collapsed my window and I lost my mic button. Okay. So when I was getting emails back and forth from the Sawtooth guys, I asked him, how far out do you guys go? Can you give me a graphic as to your typical flight pattern? He said, I can't give you a graphic at the moment, but typically we go out as far as Lake St. Clair. That was what he said. So like I said, we can move this up a little bit. I think this is a pretty large, like this is like a 737 pattern, because typically on a 172 or a small training aircraft, 90 knot to 120 knot hold, 2 nautical mile, inbound outbound legs. So you're looking at a hold that's like in here. And so if we bring this fix a little bit closer, I don't think there's a much danger to that. I don't want to get too close. But maybe 5, 6, 7 miles somewhere in there, and that might bring us clear from their activity. But that's what he said.
I'm here. I can answer that question if
Great.
you guys would
Thank
like
you.
to.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
So it's both Sawtooth and Eloy conflict, and the reason I brought up both of those is prevailing winds are typically from the southwest. So if we're doing while it's where the airplanes climb as well, it could also be where the parachutes are deployed for high openers. While they might be high up at that altitude, the transition going back to the Sawtooth Airport could be in that area, and also to Eloy. While we don't do that very often, I was just trying to think outside the box as much as possible to potential conflicts. So if there's any way to push that line, that radio a little bit more to the southwest, I do see there is another peak there to the west, right? So
Yeah.
I see how there could be issues on both of those, but also bringing a little bit closer to the VOR would be helpful for us. Again, I was just more or less trying to figure out
Yeah.
issues for potential things in the future. And that's also why the circular loop to the south, where you go close to the CG Mountain and then the Arizona City area, that would be a huge factor for Eloy. I have our climb box goes all the way out to that CG Mountain there, which is just to the west and southwest of Eloy. So that was my concern on that one was
Yeah.
more of the Eloy drop zone than the Sawtooth one. So we're getting confined by Albuquerque on the north side to stay out of their arrival airspace, obviously. And then I don't want to be conflicted on the other side as well. So then it just limits our ability to do what the customer asks for.
Sure. Okay. Understood.
So are you saying to move it? I was looking over here. Are you saying you would like it to go further north?
Further west, I think is what he's
Further
saying.
west,
So like
okay.
moving this holding leg to maybe like the 190 or 180 radial or something. We just have to figure out how far we need to stay away from this peak, because that is going to be at approach altitudes or close to it. So we might be able to move it 10 degrees, but I don't know about moving it much further. But that could give you some extra space over there in Sawtooth.
Yeah. You guys, I
To
believe
give
you mentioned talking about bringing it farther to the north and not being as far to the south,
Yes.
like up, a couple miles.
Yeah,
Well,
we could
again,
bring
that
this forward,
doesn't
fix it
give
up a little
this.
bit,
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah,
it ended up being up here.
yeah.
to give you a
Um,
frame of reference on that I-8 there going east to west, right there where that line is. I still have my yellow and red plotted thing up here with the honeycombs. The hold seems to be largely north of I-8. It's gives you a size of scale. So that hold that they've got extending way down, it doesn't go nearly that far, but it below I-8, it looks pretty much the same color as everything else. So that you could bring it up a little bit and
Okay.
safely, I think, stay out. According to this 1 month plot, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but
Okay. Good feedback. Okay. Yeah, so we can probably bring that up and maybe move it over to the 180 radial. Okay. Was there any other comments from the group on the Stanfield stack procedures? Carrie,
Brent,
I
how
think you
long?
were talking earlier.
Yeah, how long did you want to? What's your deadline for voting?
So I was going to keep the link open until the next AFTW meeting, and we can look at the results and see what everybody thinks. So that way, give people time to get it out through the community, get some feedback, get more people talking about it. From most of the people I've talked to throughout my organization and some of the other training community, it seems like it's. I'm seeing most people are like, let's leave it as is, but there's the option of this south hold seems to be the one people like. I haven't gotten most people saying they like any of these like loops, so I think those are probably going to get shot down. But I think the south hold has some water weight if we can get that on the approach chart so that it becomes a viable thing to do on a check ride. And so it could be that in the short term we keep it as is, in the long term we look at getting this on the chart like Lee was talking about earlier. And if we can get that fix added, then it becomes a more viable solution for the training operators to use.
And this poll's been open for a while. We talked about it after the last AFTW meeting, and I think
This poll I just put together today. So I just put the link up, and it's able to be voted on today, and then we
okay.
can let
So
people vote on it.
there was something we voted on. At least I voted on something. So this is completely brand new, different poll, different result. So go back and vote again.
Yes, it's a completely. I don't know what you voted on before, but this. I don't remember a vote I put together on this before, but maybe it was just an ad hoc one we did on the AFTW meeting last time we met. But yeah, this is a new one.
I pasted an image in the chat of what I was talking about a moment ago.
Perfect. I'll save that here so I can put it in the notes. Okay, so yeah, if anybody doesn't have any comments on the TFD stack, but I like I said, the summary of this topic is if you can look through the stack proposal and then use that voting link I put in the chat, which is also going to be in the meeting minutes. You can go in there and vote, spread the word to other colleagues, other pilots, get their input, get them to vote. And then next time we meet up, which will be September, we will try and put that idea to bed with seeing what the results of everybody's submissions are and making a decision as to what we want to do as a community. All right. Back to our agenda. So I know last time these are all old business items, so just wondering if there's any updates on them, but I know there was discussion about the visual Route 241 crossing Black Canyon City and that there was some high speed loop traffic using that we don't seem to have NOTAMs for sometimes. I don't know if there's any news on that topic. I think the ask from the community was if we can get Luke to post their NOTAMs when they're going to be using that Victor Airway, or not Victor Airway, that visual route. but no updates. I'll move to the next item. IFR aircraft. We talked about that already. And again, the LTA is being worked with Tracon in Albuquerque Center. Other old business, we talked about the jump activities. And don't think there's any new updates on that topic. I know Jim was going to link up with Tom and talk about some of the jump activity down near Silver Bell. And I'm not sure if that was something you guys were able to discuss.
Yeah, we got some of that done. And plus, Brent, we should also say that we have a contractor, a guy who's starting a new business up in the Kingman area and is starting to do some ops up there. And we still haven't got him looped into the communication that we're doing here, but he seems to want to play with us to give us information about what he's doing. And we have to get him to do a little bit more work on broadcasting on the frequencies up there when he's doing the jumping. So we have a little work to do. It's still on my plate to do.
Okay.
That's Maxwell Tactical Solutions up there. He has been working with Embry Riddle, and he's got a graphic out there, but he will be broadcasting on Kingman's CTAF frequency needles, and he's also on LA Center's airspace. He's got a couple drop zones that are not associated with airports, which are interesting. One of them happens to be over the Ford test track area that's along I-40, about halfway between Kingman and Lake Havasu. So if you've got flight schools, you got students going out there cross country, make sure they're at least getting flight following with Los Angeles Center in that airspace.
Okay. We talked about, well, last time we talked a little bit about the NPRM, and I don't know if there's any updates on that. The comment period is closed on that for the Gateway and Chandler airspace, and how that there was a big, they were doing community work group meetings on the airspace changes for the Phoenix Sky Harbor metro area. Those community meetings have been held, and there's the deadline for the submission of comments is closed. So I don't know if there's any updates from the community on that.
I don't have any from this office.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had P50 on the ASAG meeting, and they didn't have any updates on it either.
Okay. I guess just a reminder about the APS operation to the southeast of Gateway for those who are new, and any updates on the practice areas and their frequencies? Anything back from the FCC yet, Lee, if you're still on the call?
I'm back on it, and not yet.
Okay. Yeah, just be professional on the radio. We've had some reports of people doing the typical practice area meows and cat calls and things like that on there. So please get pilots to respect the radio comms out there and keep them professional. Current projects we need help with. So if you haven't seen our Google Doc, Jim's been putting together a document about some practice approaches, and that helps new CFWIs of where to do practice instrument approaches. And it's like a guidance document for them. So if you want to help with that project, please check out that link and note Jim Pittman's email there. And he would love to have some help with that project. You can also just submit general feedback through the contact page on AFTW.org if you have some thoughts related to practice instrument approach in the Valley. And then, sorry, was there somebody commenting there?
No, I think Jim Pittman has so many email addresses. That's like the fourth one I've seen.
Yeah, right. And then, like I already talked about that one. So here's our link to our briefing poster. If you want to share that around, please share far and wide. The next meeting coming up for ASAG, which is our Cary Grant's Arizona Safety Advisory Group. They're meeting next Wednesday at noon. and you can check out their spans on fasafety.gov. And our next AFTW meeting will be September 8th, 4 o'clock. So put it on your calendar. The registration's on our website. And that is all I have pre-prep for the meeting minutes. Does anybody have any other topics of discussion they want to bring up?
Does
Yeah,
anyone know
Brent?
about the balloon?
Brent, the ASAG does not have a meeting in July because
Oh, okay.
of AirVenture. And because of that, our next scheduled meeting for ASAG is going to be the 12th of August, 1 week earlier from our normal third weekend Wednesday.
Cool.
And I would say you could find it on the spans, but guess what? Ernie told me spans is no longer. Is that right, Brian?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
spans is
correct.
now
It's like
called event
change to something
notification.
else.
So
Event
we
management.
those of us that knew it was the safety program error notification system, we don't need to know that bit of trivia anymore. So
Is it called GASP now? I think was what it's called. Yeah. Okay.
I think it just says event notification. If you go on your FAA safety credentials and look under
Okay. I'll check it out.
the far right one, you'll see it. All right.
Everybody try to find somebody that doesn't know about the balloon, and I'm serious. Try to find somebody that doesn't. That flies. It's not your wife. That doesn't count. Your husband. That doesn't
There you
count.
go.
All right. Thanks for taking time with us, guys.
Brian, good job on all the work that you've done for that. So
I'm trying, Carrie. I just don't want someone to hit the wire. That's all I'm working for.
you know, after we had our slackline incident, the very first of January, we don't need to have a repeat of that.
Nope, I agree. If you guys have anything about it that you want to call, reach out to me. My email, everything that's on the FAAsafety.gov. It's the fastest way to me. So I appreciate everyone's input.
All right. Well, with that, unless anybody else has any other comments, we'll go ahead and end the AFTW meeting. See you guys all in September.
Thanks
Take
for.
care, guys. Fly safe.